Thank you all for coming to Touro Law Center's Kristallnacht event. Kristallnacht, as you know, is November 9th and 10th. This year that falls on the weekend, so here we decided to have an event for Kristallnacht today, a little bit early.
Thank you.
Kristallnacht happened in 1938, 86 years ago, and most scholars consider it the beginning of the Holocaust. The Holocaust had many different phases. The first phase, the pogrom that took place the night of the broken glass in Germany, was the first large-scale pogrom, and even before the war started, before World War II began, and it progressed. We are privileged today to have with us, my great aunt, my grandmother's sister. Just a little background, and I'll let you talk. My great aunt and her family were born in a small town in either Romania or Hungary called Rozavlea, and the Holocaust got to them in 1944. And
Actually, before.
Sorry.
But 44 is when we were
I'll
taken.
let you, right.
Yeah.
What do I know? So even though, again, today is Kristallnacht, which is the beginning of the Holocaust, the Holocaust took place over 7 years, and it was an event that I'm sure you all know and are aware killed 6 million Jews in Europe alone, and we're here at the Law Center and at the School of Health Science, and I think there's no greater place where to be privileged to hear from a survivor, to educate the next generation. Some students here who are 86 years. It's been quite a number of years since, and that we're privileged to hear someone who survived and then was merited through God's help to build a family and imbue her family with a love and as a matriarch, if I could use that word for our matriarch, and it's a real privilege for her to speak. So I'm going to ask my great aunt, Mrs. Wohlberg, to speak. Afterwards, there are mics if anyone wants to ask a question, and we'll try to answer as much as possible.
Okay. My name is Judith Wholberg. Born in Rozavlea, a small town. Then it was Romania till the Germans arrived and gave it over to the Hungarian, more to their liking. I'm 98 years old, plus. Yeah. I was taken from Rozavlea to the ghetto, from there to Auschwitz. You probably heard about it. I was selected there with my sister, which is his grandmother, and we were selected to go to work. Actually, we did not go to work. Their idea was they wanted to prepare people stronger. When they need their people to go to the army, they should have. We were there in conditions that you cannot even imagine. I, who went through it, cannot imagine that it's possible to go through. I was in Auschwitz with my sister, which we did nothing. Just we stood lapel to count us twice a day, morning and night, for hours. If you collapsed, that probably was the end of you. Then they got a message that they need 3,000 women to work in Germany, because we were actually in Poland. Auschwitz was in Poland. Came another selection. That was Mengele. I imagine you all heard about him. Mengele came to select us. My sister was selected to go to work that they need. I was selected to go to the gas chambers. As the lion, I found this a great miracle. That's why I am here. And God probably wanted me for a reason that I don't know to be here. The Mengele's girlfriend came to him. He turned around, and as my sister saw he turned around, she picked me up from the other side, recognizing me by a scar that I had when I was 6 years old, operated. Because we were naked, shaven, you could not recognize one person from the other. But this is the scar that saved my life. She picked me up, which he was turned around, and took me to the other side. She actually saved my life. Now, the question you could ask, how come Hashem or God wanted me to be alive? My answer is to bring up a family as I did. I have 58 actually, great-grandchildren, all religious, loving Torah, and learning, which I am very proud of. What else? I never lost my belief in God with all what I went through. My emunah was always there. I believed that there is a reason for everything, we just do not understand it. And that's how I went to work with my sister, which I find this a great miracle. Then I went at work in Germany, Salzwedel. There, the situation was a little bit better because they needed our work. I worked in a ammunition factory, night shift. My granddaughter once asked me, what did you do? I said, I made bullets. She said, you made them right? I said, I had no choice. Do you realize you made them right to kill your own people? She was 6 years old. That's how we do not understand certain things. From there, we were there till 45 when we were liberated by the Americans. Should I tell you what that moment meant? It's just unbelievable. And realizing that we're the only two left in the family. They were all gassed and killed. And now I'm the only one left alone. With thanks God, a beautiful family. Any questions you have?
Do you want to talk maybe about right before the war, when the Germans came, before you went to the ghetto? But
we were not in the ghetto, but that's all right.
But what was it like? What was life like? You know, when you knew about what was going on in Germany until?
Okay, when the Germans came in, actually we did not see an SS till Auschwitz because they put the Hungarians, they were SS enough. We had to keep our store open for them. They did what they wanted. They closed every religious place. It was a horror to live. But we Jews always have bitachon. What is bitachon?
Faith or trust.
Huh?
Faith or trust. Trust.
Trust, yes. We had always trust. And we believed that God is with us. We have great belief. And as the Germans, we did not see till Auschwitz, but the Hungarians were just like the Germans. We suffered a lot, but we believed that God will help us.
Did you know what was happening in Germany and Poland?
We did know because we had in Poland family. My grandmother, from my father's side, they killed them just like they killed them in Auschwitz. It is unbelievable. I do not think that you could grasp what it meant a day in Auschwitz. Because I think many a times being liberated so many years, is it possible that I went through that? But I did. And that only was because God wanted me here.
What did you think about the Germans after you were liberated? What did you want to do? What did you think about that?
They were animals, not human beings. I saw my little brother, which was killed after on the other side. They were like separated. And he was 14-year-old. He was so happy to see me. While I saw him, we were shivering, and an SS lady passed by. She hit us so both, my sister and I, that we couldn't lay on our back for 2 weeks. For no reason. They were animals, not human beings.
Yeah, Professor, yes.
Describe what it was like on the day of liberation for you. What happened after you realized liberated?
The day you were liberated by the Americans, what did you do next? What was...
The Americans took us out from there, and they took us to their place, treated us beautiful. For us, anything was beautiful, because they were wonderful. And from there, many people went home to their own places where they were born, but I did not. We stayed there, we made our home in Bregenz, which was close by to the Swiss border. Then we found a soldier from France, from Strasbourg, a religious man, and he came to help us. So he came after a while that we made our home there. He realized we cannot go from there any place, so he took us in middle of the night with a train to Paris. There we had from America, they sent us everything, we had everything, and from there we could get in touch, like we got in touch with his father, who was engaged to my sister. And we got in touch, and he sent us tickets, and we were one of the first one to get out from Paris to South America. What is that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you feel like there was a plan when you were liberated about what to do next? Did you have a sense that there was...
Did anyone tell you like what was going to be? Was there a plan? When you were liberated, was there any plan where to go, what to do?
Nothing. There was no plan. The Americans, they were soldiers. They did not know. They just treated us wonderful. For us, any little thing was wonderful because we didn't have it. And if we asked help, they did give us. But they could not take us any place.
Were there Jewish soldiers in the American army?
Yes, they were Jewish soldiers. But even the non-Jewish soldiers, the Americans helped us a lot. If somebody wanted to get in touch, they had a relative in America. They did it. That's how we got in touch with his father.
Grandfather.
And he was the first one to send us tickets. We were the first ones out from France to Spain. And in Spain, he must have paid a fortune of money. And we had a luxury boat. You could imagine how we looked coming from Auschwitz, and they were in a luxury boat, and they were with long dresses, with having music every night. We already ate kosher. We did not eat on that boat, so we ate hard-boiled eggs, and they couldn't understand. So one waiter came to us and said, "Lady, this is filet mignon. How come you don't eat it?" I said, "But we are vegetarians." So of course, we got along. We always, what does it call in Hebrew? A Jew gets a chanaitza. We always did something, and we went through it.
How did you find relatives who survived? How were you able to get in touch with them?
One was telling the other, like my brother who survived Hershey, he survived, and he was the only one who went back to the place we were born, to Rozavlea, and he found there an uncle who was not in concentration camp, but he was in forced labor camp like my husband. And he stayed there until he got enough power, because he was very weak, he could not walk. And when he was better, he found through somebody that we are alive and we are in Bregenz. And that's how he came there. And we were together.
So I have a question. For those that were complacent and everything, what was your feeling, not just the German soldiers, but the individuals that were in the towns that weren't?
The people in the town, the non-Jews who were in the towns where you came from, and they saw what was going on.
Well, the people.
The Hungarians who were around you in the towns when you were.
Before.
Before, yeah.
So what did you want to know?
What was your feelings towards them?
What are your feelings towards them?
Well, it wasn't a good feeling that they did not try to help us. They were happy to see us leave and go into our store and into our homes and have everything for nothing. And that's one reason I did not go back. I just couldn't face that.
Before the war, when you were growing up, did you have good relations with your neighbors?
Yeah, normal relationship. We had a store. They were coming in to shop.
What type of store?
Material, what do you call it?
Cloth, material, fabric?
Fabric, yeah.
Was your town a very big town? Was it Rozavlea a big town?
Well, it was 150 religious Jews. I don't know how many Christians, but we were very normal with them. Normal relationships.
Did you go to school when you were?
Yes, but there were no Jewish school. We went to public school, and after public school, we had a person coming in and teaching us a little bit of Hebrew, whatever they, not like here.
Were there anti-Semitic, when you were in public school, there were anti-Semitic events or
No,
incidents?
no, not that I know. They did not, I imagine they didn't love us, but it was nothing special that I could say that I lived through. We were sort of normal friendship.
And was there any thought about ever getting back your house or your store?
They would not give us back anything. We didn't. And that was the reason I couldn't face that. See the store that my parents worked hard and built it up in a nice house, and I should go back, and it belongs now to somebody who took it for nothing. I couldn't face that. I didn't bake back, but everybody else did and showed the children where their parents were brought up. I didn't. I wonder whether I did right, but I did not take my children back.
Yeah, go ahead. When you were in Auschwitz, did you have any hopeful moments that you were?
We were like in a daze the whole time, not believing that not far from us was the gas chambers, and your parents were killed there and your brothers and sisters. We always said, till we came home, we always hoped that, we will still have. And we realized when we were liberated what happened, because the American soldiers told us. And they were aware, they knew everything. But they were wonderful to us. Gave, as a matter of fact, a little bit too much. When they liberated a larger camp than ours, they gave them everything. Many people died because their stomachs was so empty, and it wasn't good to start with a big meal. Then they realized and they stopped that.
Yeah, good, Professor.
It's an extraordinary story about you getting on that luxury ship. So my question's about that. When you get on that ship and you suddenly have this opposite light of what you just experienced, and you still held on to your religion and stayed kosher. How did you stay held on to your religious beliefs when challenged in the way you were while during the concentration camp and seeing this big change?
How did you keep your emunah, especially when you were liberated, when you saw the world, and when you went on the boat to South America? How did you keep your emunah to keep kosher? You saw the world.
That's how I was brought up, and I still believe that God knows what He created the world and knows exactly what to do. I believe till the day there is something that I don't know, I do not understand. But I was brought up, and I still believe. I never lost my belief in God.
And one last question. You were 13 years old at the time.
No, after the war,
Yeah, when she was on that
around, well,
was on the boat.
on 1940. What year were in the boat? When did you go to Colombia? 46.
46. In
46.
the beginning.
The beginning of 46.
It's nobody there.
Right. So I guess what is that? How many years ago? Do the math. Yeah. Professor.
Why did you leave Paris? I assume there's more Jewish life in Paris than there is in Colombia.
Well, I can answer that. So my was with my grandmother, and my grandmother had been engaged before the war to my grandfather. My grandfather left before the war to Bogota, Colombia, and he was living there. And most survivors had nowhere to go. America still had a closed-door policy, so you couldn't get into America. And most countries of the world were not taking refugees, survivors.
Right.
But since my grandfather was engaged to my grandmother, my great-aunt's sister, so he sent visas and tickets to come to Bogota. So my grandmother, my great-aunt, and Heshi,
And an uncle.
and
Four of us.
So he sent 4 tickets. So they were one of the first people to leave mainland Europe. They were able to get out because they actually had somewhere to go.
He will believe that his bride is alive. 7 years he waited for her.
My grandfather.
It's unbelievable.
My grandfather got engaged to my grandmother in 1938, and he went back. And by the time he got back to South America, it was too late for her to leave. So for 7 years, my grandfather had no idea what was happening with my grandmother, and he read the papers, and he had no idea what happened to his bride, his fiancée, but he believed that she would survive, and she did.
She did. He found out, I think, through a captain.
A
So,
sergeant,
yeah.
a sergeant in the American Army found
Right,
her and
right.
put them in touch with each other.
And
We
that's how-
actually have the letter from the sergeant to the family saying that he found her and put them in touch so that they.
Right, right.
And I'm here today because of that. Jill? My grandfather is from what is present-day Ukraine. Most of my family comes from an area of the Carpathian Mountains. It's called Marmarosh, but if you imagine the Carpathian Mountains, which run between Hungary, Ukraine, and Romania. So my grandfather came from the northern part,
Right.
and my grandmother and my great aunt lived in a shtetl, a town on the southern part. So some of his family came pre-Holocaust to the world had a Great Depression. The world, there was a lot of poverty in Europe, so a lot of people had read the handwriting on the wall, let's say. So they came to America, but when I say America, I mean South America. America was not letting in immigrants at that time, so they went to first Cuba and then to Colombia, South America, and that's where they were. So my grandfather went there with his siblings, but he went back to find a wife,
Right.
a bride.
Right.
Yes. When you got to Colombia, what was the Jewish life like in Colombia?
Not too many, not too many. I mean, they were Jews, but religious Jews, they were. Today, the interesting thing to me is I came back to New York. I came back because they were not youngsters there, religious, because I was a religious person. But today I heard that there are 300 religious from families in Bogota. It's unbelievable. After the war, they were looking for places, and they went.
Go ahead.
Could you share a little bit about your life after the war and family?
So a little bit of your life after the war. Maybe how you met Uncle Nussi, how you met.
Yeah. Uncle Lucy and I got him in America. Well, after the war from Colombia, I decided I don't want to stay there. It's not religious enough for me, and I came to New York alone, which was not easy. They supported me, and I started to work whatever I could, and I stayed here. Here I found my husband. One lady knew my family, the other lady knew his family. It would be a good party. So we went out, and I didn't want to go out again with him. He said he couldn't understand. But on the way, I saw the opera. And I said, oh, I'm here already some time, and I have never been to the opera. He had this in his mind, and he got 2 tickets. He called me up that, oh, remember what you said? So you want to go to the opera? Of course I wanted to go, so I went again with him. And that's how it ended. I married him.
Yeah.
Given what you experienced and what has happened with October 7th, how do you feel about the future?
Given everything you went through and the past year since October 7th, what was the question?
Like, how does she feel about, is she optimistic about the future?
Are you optimistic about the future?
Not very optimistic.
I don't know if that's the answer you wanted, but why were you so optimistic after the Holocaust that you were going to rebuild and start over again?
I believed. I still believe now too, but I see what's going on in the world. I'm just coming back from Israel. And I came back a broken person. Because the world is not what it used to be. But we still hope and pray that everything will be all right. This is what we have, the belief that God is with us. And we have our Torah, which is the most wonderful thing that I believe we own. And everybody should believe that way. Maybe God would help us.
What would you tell these students are law students? They're going to be lawyers. They're going to help people. What would a message to them be? A message for students of law?
Well, to me, it's back religion. That could help us. I believe in that. So I hope that they all believe and they will teach. And when as a lawyer, they will give the whole world their message that belief is one of the greatest things. And God wants love, not hatred. If we'll get there, we'll win. I hope.
Yes. Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead. Do you see history repeating itself? Is history repeating itself?
What?
Is history repeating itself?
In a way, yes.
Just to follow up on that question. Back then, no one knew, there was no news, you didn't know what was going on in Poland or too much when you were growing up.
We knew, but not as much as it was, because I had family in Poland.
Do you think that now that we know what's going on everywhere is better, does that
No,
change?
not like now. No, you didn't know as much. You did not know, you could know. You didn't have the science that you have today.
If people would have known, do you think it would have been different if people would have known?
It would have been different. That's how I believe. I don't know whether it's possible. It would have been different. But in the other question I have, if it would have been different, why isn't it different today? With all what we have,
That's a good question.
all the science and everything, it's not different.
If there's no more questions, I just wanted to say thank you to Mrs. Wohlberg for joining us today. I hope this visit and the speech will, inspire us all to, educate others, those who,
I hope so.
As we move further and further away, to take the message, and that message of really love and not hate, and belief and strength of belief. I think it's something that we could all take with us. So I thank you all for joining us.
This is what I believe.
Thank you again.
Thank you all.